This week on Mill Street, we have a jam-packed show because we go to Singapore. We start with a chicken satay, which is really easy to do. Then we move on to a classic, which is coconut rice. We go to a couple bars in Singapore and find the best recipe for the Singapore Sling. And we finally end up with a great soup with chicken and shrimp. So stay tuned for Singapore Classics right here on Mill Street.
Funding for this series was provided by the following.
Ferguson's proud to support Milk Street and culinary crusaders everywhere. For more information on our extensive collection of kitchen products, we're on the web at fergusonshowrooms.com.
For 25 years, Consumer Cellular's goal has been to provide wireless service that helps people communicate and connect. We offer a variety of no-contract plans, and our U.S.-based customer service team can help find one that fits you. To learn more, visit consumercellular.tv.
Cooking happens in the kitchen, but life happens around the kitchen table. The 1919 collection, celebrating yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Visit us at www.1919cookware.com.
We recently traveled to Singapore, which is a very beautiful, very modern city, and pretty hot when we were there as well. It has a lot of different cuisines. It has Peranakan cuisine, which is the local cuisine influenced by Chinese flavors. Obviously, Malaysia, Indonesia has lots of different cultures there. And so the food is really interesting. And one of the things we really liked were the skewers. They're made with chicken thighs. They're cooked, obviously grilled, and they're turned quickly. And they have three parts. They have a marinade, which has turmeric and ginger and cumin, etc. And then it has a dipping sauce and a glaze, the glaze and dipping sauce being really the same thing. So we love the chicken skewers, and we thought we'd bring that back. It seems like a great backyard or broiler method recipe we could do here at Mill Street.
Chris, these chicken sauté is full of flavor, as you know, and it has two main components to the recipe, but each of those components provides two functions. So you have two components, 4 functions, pretty good return.
Think about that. I was pretty good at math, but it's been a long time ago. Okay.
So the first component is the marinade that you were talking about, and it's a marinade that's also going to function as a brine. And the brine helps that marinade penetrate the meat of the chicken faster. So we're going to start with our fresh ginger, and we're going to use the grater. And we need about 2 tablespoons complete of fresh grated ginger. And doing it this way, rather than chopping it, allows the juices to come out of the ginger, and it just infuses that brine marinade even more. Yeah, so we've already got a tablespoon done here. We're just going to do about another tablespoon.
You're pretty quick with that.
What's your favorite way to peel ginger?
With a spoon. I think you actually taught me that.
Really?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
This may be true.
I was doing it with a knife, and you said, "Hey, stupid." Have you ever tried it? The spoon is just amazing.
Well, if it wasn't me, I'll take credit for it. So anyway, so we have 2 tablespoons of grated fresh ginger root for a lot of flavor, and all the juices in there too. And then we have 6 cloves of garlic, finely chopped. We have 2 tablespoons of turmeric. This gives amazing color, as you know.
And that's typical in Singapore cuisine, turmeric, right?
Yes. It's flavor, yes, but the color is outrageous. And 4 teaspoons ground cumin. We're using toasted peanut oil today for a little bit of extra flavor. We have a 1/4 cup of sugar, balanced by a tablespoon of salt. And that's what's going to provide that brining action to bring it all together. This is a 1/2 cup of water to help make it a paste. As you mentioned, we're using boneless, skinless chicken thighs cut into 1-inch strips. We're going to add this into the marinade carefully, then stir it all together to get the chicken coated evenly. This has got so much flavor in it, you can smell it too. And then we're going to cover this and refrigerate it for 2 to 3 hours. That's all it takes. So we're ready for the second component.
I know what that is.
What is it?
Peanut butter.
Yes, and this is going to make our sauce, which is also going to be used as a glaze for the chicken while it's cooking. So we only need a tablespoon of peanut butter. This isn't your regular thick peanut butter sauce. It's thinner, a little chunkier, and it has so many other flavors in with it. So a tablespoon is all we need. And if you wouldn't mind measuring out a 1/4 cup of that boiling water, because if you try and mix peanut butter into cold liquids, it's just going to separate. And this makes it easier then to blend with all the other liquids. Okay, then we have a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. That's the salty element that balances the sweetness of the 2 tablespoons sugar. And then we have the rice vinegar, which adds that tanginess. So now we're going to saute a few aromatics. We're going to put a dry skillet over medium heat. Start with a little bit more of that peanut oil. That's so delicious, that toasted peanut oil taste. Regular peanut oil is fine too. And let that heat up just a little bit. By sauteing these aromatics, we are just sort of rounding out their flavor. So we're going to saute 2 tablespoons of ginger with 1 garlic clove chopped finely. And then we have 2 teaspoons of the garlic chili sauce. This is also one of those things that is delicious in this, but if you don't have it, it's completely fine to leave it out. There's a lot of other flavors going on here.
Okay.
And last but not least, we have 1/2 teaspoon of the turmeric. Don't you like this color?
I'm going to get you a scarf for Christmas.
All right, this is going to
color.
be your shirt color next
Yeah,
year,
okay.
right? And then these aromatics go right into this sauce. And here we have our sauce. And you can see it's thinner with a little bit of chunkiness from the aromatics. We're going to reserve a 1/4 cup of it, and that we're going to use for the glaze while the chicken cooks. Okay, that's it. This we'll just keep in the fridge until it's time to serve. Okay, Chris, our chicken has marinated for 2 to 3 hours, and now it's time to skewer it and cook it. I have gloves on because of the turmeric. So we're going to drain the marinade off this chicken. To skewer these, you can see they're small pieces. They're going to be very oddly shaped. Just sort of want to thread it on a little bit in a little bit of a wavy pattern just because it looks nice. And also, it keeps the meat thicker, which gives it a chance to get that really nice char on it while it's cooking. So we have 2 pieces of chicken on this. That's enough for this skewer. And we are using the metal skewers because no matter how long you soak those bamboo skewers, they're going to get burned and charred in the oven, especially under a broiler. We're ready to cook. We're going to cook these in the broiler. So the broiler has been preheating.
But we could grill these too, right?
Oh, you can totally grill these over charcoal. They're amazing. But we're going to cook them in the broiler. But we're still going to get that char on them by putting the rack really as close to the broiler as it can go. Before we do that, we have prepped our sheet tray here, line it with foil. Put about a cup of salt in the bottom to absorb the juices from the chicken so you don't get a lot of flare up and burn. And then we spray the rack a little bit before adding our skewers. We have the broiler preheating. We're going to put them in for 5 to 7 minutes on the first side to give them a chance to char. Flip them over for another 5 minutes, and then we'll start glazing. All right, they're ready for glazing.
So you got them just in time.
They're charred beautifully. You don't want too much, you don't want too little. So we're going to use about half the glaze for this first brushing. It's about 2 tablespoons worth. And then they will go back into the oven 2 to 4 minutes, turn them over, and use the rest of the glaze on the other side.
Okay.
Here they are.
They look great.
They smell even better.
They have that wonderful turmeric color.
I was going to ask, have you ever seen such a color? We have glazed these on both sides now.
Okay.
So they are done, beautifully charred, ready to go. We're just going to put them on a platter. And we remembered to take our sauce out of the fridge in time for it to come to room temperature. If you wouldn't mind, stir the peanuts in.
Sure.
Now the peanuts, you can sprinkle them on top, you can put them in the sauce, but I think they're great in the sauce. Oh, thank you. May I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Perfect. Does it deliver the promise?
Wow. It's not too sweet. It has sweetness to it, but it's got the savoriness too. It's got a lot of different flavors.
And just the right amount of spiciness, not too much.
There's a finish to it. So we had to travel all the way to Singapore to find out the secrets of chicken satay, which was a nice char, but inside it's nice and moist, and we used that marinade with salt, so obviously it didn't get dried out on the grill or under the broiler. And a real mix of sweet and sour, turmeric, ginger, cumin, salt. It really had a lot of different things going on. So when you bite into it, you get 3 or 4 different flavors, and it has a nice sort of sweet, sour finish. So for Milk Street, that is our recipe for chicken satay all the way from Singapore. You know, cooking at home, I make a lot of rice, and one of the things you can do to make a meal a little more interesting is make a slightly more flavorful type of rice. Now, coconut rice, you might think, is just coconut milk for water. Actually, it's a lot more than that. It has a lot of really interesting flavors. So we're gonna make a quick coconut rice. It's a lot more than just coconut milk.
Absolutely. There's a lot more going on with this rice in the form of aromatics. And we start by cooking off some coconut oil. So right from the ground up, we're starting with that coconut flavor. And what's great about coconut oil is its high smoke point. We're going to heat this in a large saucepan over medium-high heat until that oil starts to smoke. Now that our coconut oil has started to shimmer and smoke, we'll go ahead and add in 2 medium shallots that we've thinly sliced. And you can hear the sizzle. That is a great sign. And we'll give that a little bit of a toss. We'll allow them to cook for about 3 to 5 minutes, or just until they begin to soften, but not brown too much. We don't want caramelization on these shallots, otherwise this would start to taste like a dessert and combat the savoriness of all of the other elements. So as you can see, we are starting to get a little bit of browning. At this point, we could add some of the other aromatics. This is about an inch-long piece of ginger that has been peeled, cut into coins, and smashed. And we'll also add in lemongrass. And the fun part about lemongrass is just like the ginger, it does need to be smashed, and you can get a little bit of your emotions out. So we'll add the bruised lemongrass in. Again, that's 1 piece of lemongrass that has been cut down about 8 inches from the bottoms. That way we have the most flavorful parts. To this pot, we'll add 1½ cups of long grain white rice.
Is this jasmine rice?
In this case, it's jasmine.
Okay.
And we'll also add in 1½ cups of water, as well as yet another layer of flavor, 1/2 cup of coconut milk. So this gets added in along with 1 teaspoon of salt. And from here, all we have to do is give it a stir and bring it to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we'll cover it, lower the heat down to low, and allow it to simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until all of the moisture has been absorbed.
Okay.
Our coconut ginger rice has been simmering for about 15 to 20 minutes, and as you can see, all of the moisture has been absorbed. Before we could eat it, I want to avoid making you eat ginger and lemongrass and have that stuck in between your teeth. So we'll go ahead and remove all of those coins of ginger.
If that piece of lemongrass is stuck in my teeth,
Oh, you got bigger
I think
problems,
there's a
my friend.
problem.
Now that the aromatics have been removed, we can take a fork and give the rice a nice fluff. So this will come out beautifully savory and serve as a fantastic backdrop for a main dish. Now, one thing that we can do just to make sure it's to taste, we'll give it a little sprinkling of salt, bring out all that flavor, give it one more fluff, and now we can dig right in.
So if you had a really spicy dish, a curry or something else, whatever, and you wanted to serve it with rice, you know, plain rice probably wouldn't really stand up to it too well, right?
It wouldn't. It would be a nice way of diffusing that spice throughout the rice itself, but just because it's used as a means of kind of spreading flavor out doesn't mean it has to be bland. So we amped up our rice here with a little bit of aromatics, and it's sure to give any dish a really, really nice flavor.
You know, this is more subtle than I thought it would be, the lemongrass, you know, and the shallots and the ginger. I mean, you can definitely taste it, but it's not overpowering.
That's the one thing we want to avoid, especially if we're using this as a side to a main dish. We don't want it to take center stage, but we do want it to be a good supporting role.
So the next time you're cooking rice with dinner, you might try this recipe, coconut ginger rice. It has lemongrass, ginger, shallots, obviously a little coconut milk. It's subtle, but it gives the rice something extra special. Excellent job.
Thank you.
On a recent trip to Singapore, we got the really bright idea of tracking down a Singapore Sling, the cocktail. So we went to the Raffles Bar, the very famous Raffles Bar, and had one. Well, we didn't really love it. It was gin, pineapple juice, Cointreau, a little too sweet. So we tried many others at other places and finally ended up at a rooftop bar in the National Gallery. Now, the bartender there had a great idea of switching from gin to whiskey, and here's what he did. Started with a lot of ice, then he used an ounce and a half of rye whiskey. It really stands up nicely to sweetness. And instead of using Cointreau, an orange liqueur, he used 3/4 ounce of orange juice. And then just a 1/3 ounce of cassis liqueur, which adds a little bit of depth to it, and a 1/3 ounce of simple syrup to it. And then just a few drops of bitters. You can use any bitters you like. We're just using Angostura here. And then shake it. Now, when you shake it, it's really important to get a cocktail like this really cold. We want it to be so cold you can really feel it on your fingers. That's cold. Okay, now take the top off. And then it's traditional to have a little float of sparkling water. This is Prosecco on top. And we garnish it with a 2-inch length of orange peel. Most bartenders don't get a full sip of their drink, but I get to have one. Man, that's good. Not too sweet. The rye really makes the drink a new version of the Singapore Sling. Probably the best thing about visiting Singapore is going to one of the food stalls and you get a spicy coconut soup. They start with a coconut base, which is, as I said, spicy. They'll add fish cake or shrimp and noodles, and then that's heated up in your nice little bowl. And finally, you top it with the cucumbers or cilantro, or maybe a hard-cooked egg, and maybe some nice peanut sauce on top as well. It has this incredible salty, creamy, sultry, slightly seafood flavor to it. It's got everything, and that's why you're here. To give us everything in a bowl.
Chris, this is a Singaporean shrimp and chicken soup, but it's really a composed dish with noodles in it and all kinds of ingredients. I think of it as a marriage soup. This is really a marriage of flavors, and the history of this dish actually comes from travelers in China. When the men came down to Southeast Asia, merchants, they brought traditional Chinese noodle soup, and when they married the local women, there was this intermarriage of flavors as well. And the local women used coconut milk and their own local spices fused in with this Chinese noodle soup. And this whole cuisine is actually called Peranakan cuisine. So let's begin. We're going to start with 6 shallots that I have peeled and sliced in half. And these are all going into a food processor because we're building a curry paste. The next thing I'm adding is 6 garlic cloves, also peeled. This is 3 tablespoons of Thai red curry paste. The other thing that adds so much flavor is Thai lemongrass. I have 2 stalks here, just the lower 6 inches. You want to remove the dry outer leaves and then just chop it. Next, I have 2 inches of fresh ginger, peeled and sliced into coins, and 2 teaspoons of ground turmeric. And the last thing I'm going to add is a bunch of cilantro. This is the stems. A lot of people throw away cilantro stems, and they have so much flavor in them that it's really worth saving. They make a wonderful base. So I'm going to process this on high for about 20 seconds till it's finely chopped. Have a whiff.
You sure? Oh, I got it from here. I didn't even my nose in. Wow.
So our curry paste is done, and follow me this way. We're going to build our broth. So an important note here, we're going to use shrimp shells, which come from the shrimp that we're going to use later in this recipe, but I've reserved the tails of the shrimp to use as the starting point for our broth. I'm going to turn on the heat to medium-high, and I have 2 tablespoons of a neutral oil. We like grapeseed oil. And that's going to heat till it just starts to smoke, and then in go the shrimp shells. Okay, so my oil has just started to smoke. In go the shrimp shells. Now those are going to cook for 2 to 3 minutes till they start charring, and we get lovely shrimpy flavor. All right, we're seeing some charring, and in goes our curry paste. Okay. I'm going to cook this for another 2 minutes, and you'll see it will get really fragrant, and I want to see it starting to stick to the pot. That looks about right. And the last thing I'm going to add is 2 quarts of water. And I want to bring this back up to a boil and then cover it, reduce the heat to low, and it's going to cook for 30 minutes.
Okay.
So we're back, and so is our broth. I took it out of the pot, I strained it through a sieve and pressed down hard on the solids to make sure I get all the flavor out of the broth. Discarded the solids, and I have it at medium-high at a simmer. So I'm going to add to this 1 pound of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And I also have 14 ounces of firm tofu that have been cubed after being patted dry into 1/2-inch pieces. And I'm also going to add another tablespoon of fish sauce and 1 tablespoon of chili garlic sauce. That gets a quick stir. So I'm going to bring this back up to a simmer and then reduce the heat to low, cover and cook it for another 30 minutes. While that cooks, I'm going to set up my shrimp to marinade. Now the shrimp I'm using, it's important that you check on the package or with the fishmonger that it doesn't have a chemical called sodium tripolyphosphate, which gives it an ugly color and a saltiness that we just found unsavory.
But otherwise, we'd love it. So it also makes it retain water.
It makes it retain water and its shape. So to this, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of fish sauce, a tablespoon of chili garlic sauce. And once this is mixed up nicely, I am going to refrigerate this covered until we're ready to cook it. Okay, we are getting close to the end of our
Close is never good enough. We want to be at the eating part.
Okay, we'll get there very soon. I wanted to point out that I have 6 ounces of wide rice noodles here, and I soaked these in boiling water for 10 minutes, and that was just enough to allow them to become soft but still remain chewy. So I've drained those and then rinsed them in cool water, drained them again, and those are waiting for us. And the other thing I want to show you is that I fished out the chicken thighs that cooked for 30 minutes, and they're fork tender now. And I used 2 forks to just shred them into smaller bite-sized pieces.
Okay.
So in goes our shredded chicken. And then I'm also going to add 14 ounces of coconut milk. And this is really what gives this soup its richness and depth of flavor. So look at that now become this beautiful, creamy soup. Now I'm going to let this come up to a simmer on medium, turn it down to low, and add the shrimp that's been marinating in the fridge. Now the trick to the shrimp is cooking them until they're just starting to turn opaque. 1 to 2 minutes is all I want for the shrimp. So my shrimp is looking just about right. So this is done. I'm going to turn off the heat and finish it with some chopped cilantro leaves. This is 1 bunch. And I have 4 tablespoons of fish sauce, I have 3 tablespoons of fresh lime juice, and 1 tablespoon of chili garlic sauce. Now, done. All right.
Yes.
The noodles go in first. And then we're going to ladle our soup on top.
Now, what about the toppings?
I have some chopped Persian cucumber, some chopped roasted peanuts. We have more fresh cilantro, should you be so inclined. Chili garlic sauce, because I know you like a little extra heat.
Yeah.
And lime.
There's nothing about this that tastes like Vermont. This is so foreign to the kind of food I grew up with. This is delicious.
Worth the wait?
Boy, is that good. Every day here at Milk Street, we're looking for layers of flavor and texture, and I think we finally found it with Singapore shrimp and chicken soup. You have cucumber, you have the shrimp, obviously, the chicken, the tofu, the noodles, the peanuts, lots of different textures and lots of different flavors, starting at the base with ginger and coconut milk. It's absolutely unbelievable. You can get this recipe and all the recipes from this season at Milk Street at, of course, milkstreettv.com.
Funding for this series was provided by the following.
Ferguson's proud to support Milk Street and culinary crusaders everywhere. For more information on our extensive collection of kitchen products, we're on the web at fergusonshowrooms.com.
For 25 years, Consumer Cellular has been offering no-contract wireless plans designed to help people do more of what they like. Our U.S.-based customer service team can help find a plan that fits you. To learn more, visit consumercellular.tv.
Cooking happens in the kitchen, but life happens around the kitchen table. The 1919 collection, celebrating yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Visit us at www.1919cookware.com.